Hello, let me just do a quick sound check before we start. Let me just sound check properly. Sound check, there we go. Hello and welcome to Mental Monday. This is the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. But next half an hour we're going to be having just that, a big friendly conversation about mental health. Thank you so much for joining me. I do need to just check a few technical issues, which is why I am slightly delaying the introduction. If you're wondering, we do have some technical issues. As always, we are live on YouTube and on Twitch. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am trying to resolve the technical issues as I talk very slowly to fill time before I actually introduce There we go. So, if you're here for the first time, this is Mental Monday. It's an open, unscripted conversation about mental health, obviously, hence the name. And as a mental health advocate, I'm available to talk to about mental health if you do want to come say hello. Although I am not a substitute for professional therapy or as a counsellor or in any kind of non-personal capacity. So always call, someone you trust, or if you don't have someone available, the Samaritans on 116123 or 0800 11 11 for Childline if you're under 18. As this is unscripted, I do have a few notes to go through, and I will be glancing over to the screen there to actually check some of those and down to my paper in front of me. But do get involved, do let me know, do say hi in the chat, just get involved in today. As always, you can reach me on Twitter at JakeSWrites or on Instagram Jake_Symons if you want to come and say hello properly. And there we go, that is the introduction over. Lots to get through today, a lot of things been happening around the place, a couple of new updates today that have just come through in the last, couple of hours, so I do want to cover some of those first. But as always, this is a mental health live stream, so the most important question to ask at the start of every Mental Monday is, how are you? And I do want to put that question into chat, and feel free to respond. Again, you can send me a message on Instagram or Twitter as well, but the chat is probably the most logical place to actually watch me, either on Twitch or on YouTube. So, how are you? Just thought I'd give a few seconds there. I've been alright. We've got a massive website project coming up in terms of content, so it's been fun planning that, because it's one of these big content projects that actually has to be planned first. It's not just a jump in and write stuff. So that's been fun. That's taken up most of my time this week. I've also been doing a lot on Twitter as well, a couple of new accounts I'm managing. So most of it is just work. That's been fun, a lot of time with friends, bit of Minecraft. Other than that, not really done a lot, to be honest, last couple of weeks. I did get vaccinated. I know. I was talking about being vaccinated, and if you watch some of my earlier streams, you'll be able to see some of that. And actually, I did. I decided to go and get the jab. I had Pfizer on Thursday. I did not have any side effects apart from a sore arm. I was very happy. It was I walked straight in, got the jab, sat down, walked out. That was it. Really? don't know what else there is to say on that. I didn't do a whole I got my jab post, because we've all seen enough of them considering how many million have been given out here. But yeah, that was fine. So got to obviously have a second jab because Pfizer's double dose, so we'll be having my second in August. So there was that to do. That was fun. Nice chance to get out as well. It's been a while actually since I gone out on a full kind of day trip, I guess. So that was fun. But obviously we're not out of the woods with COVID. Hi, James. And with 22,868 cases today, and obviously that's mainly increased by the Delta variant, or the variant first detected in India. And then there's obviously talk of a Delta Plus variant and all sorts of other variants, the Lambda variant, which I've seen referenced a couple of times. There's a lot of variants out there. And yeah, the plan seems to be going ahead. Confirmation today that the restrictions may be eased on July 19th. Very probably may be eased. So potentially, we might have our freedom again, which would be nice. It'd be nice to do things. But maybe, with the increase, especially because it's an increase since last week it's been going up, is that something that is going ahead? Are you worried about that? Do let me know. I do want to hear from you throughout today. Definitely a lot of stuff. So my kind of angle that I cover these kind of stories is always on the mental health side, because this is a mental health live stream. So I just want to start off saying the word uncertainty. Now I hear groans in the back because I've been saying that word since May 2020 when we restarted Mental Monday, and I get the issue of uncertainty very well, because it's something I struggled with in the start of the pandemic back in March last year, almost 18 months ago. We were, it was a very, very uncertain time, very difficult time, and it still is, and there's still uncertainty, and we have always said throughout this, just take it one day at a time, and that honestly still stands true, and that's pretty much all you can do, because everything is so up in the air right now, and there's not really anything you can do about that. There's not really anything I can do about that, other than just accept it and try and work with it the best we can. And I think that's really important, is to actually work with things in and try and make them work in our situation. And if you were holding on to restrictions easing, and you were using that as the light at the end of the tunnel, or the crocus of hope peeping through the frost, to quote Boris Johnson, but there's obviously a setback now, and that kind of pushes what you are holding on to, what you may have been using for motivation to actually get through the next kind of couple of weeks, kind of make it harder to do so. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, because obviously if you're clinging on to something, and you're clinging on to Freedom Day, and now we're moving into Terminus Day, it is quite difficult. It's quite difficult to try and shift your goal and try and actually get through, being the setbacks and the I want my freedoms back to we can't have them yet. So it's kind of that that setback and that pushback, and that's really really something that can affect your mental health, especially when you put so much of your mental health as a coping strategy onto actually having that goal and coping towards it, because at that time you'll be free, and you'll all this will be worthwhile, and you'll get back to normal, etc. And then for that not to happen, that is difficult. And of course you could use the Euros to get through the weeks. That is a possibility, and that's definitely something I have been watching, as you well know, James, and anyone on my Snapchat would know. But yeah, sport is back, and obviously we've got Wimbledon now, and we've got Wembley at more capacity, and that is a good distraction. It is a really good distraction. It's good to have something to take your mind off what's going on and block out time. So I think when I talk a lot about getting through everything day by day, to actually do that, you do have to block out time in your day. You do have to think, well, how do I get through this day? What am I doing today? For me, that may be work, and then a bit of Minecraft, and just focusing on those small bits of time. And obviously, if you can block out, say, 90 minutes plus however many penalties have to be taken for a Euros game, you can really block out that time, and that can really give you something to focus on and actually take your mind off the day. And we say it as, oh, it's just a football, and but it does matter, and it does help, and if that helps and you need to do that, then do it. That's what I say. Whatever it takes to help you cope, provided it's safe and everything, just actually do it, because ultimately you do have to get through this a day at a time. So whatever you need to get through, that day is good enough. So if that is just watching the Euros and then not doing much of anything else, that's fine, because you've got through the day and that was a hard day for you. Now obviously there's a lot in there about you have to work for stuff, and obviously you've got to try and take those steps on your recovery journey, etc., etc. And there is some merit to that. But some days that is going to be too much, and some days you do need to take a step back. And it's not the advice or the kind of what mental health advocates often say. It's like, keep pushing, this is just a knockback, you'll get back up, etc., etc. And you will do, and that's all true. But in the moment, how do you get through that setback? And sometimes it is just accepting the fact that you've done enough that day, and that's okay. And that kind of leads into your comment nicely, is that you do want to make sure you are not fully focusing on A-levels and you are taking some time for yourself. Now obviously A-levels priority because uni and life, and then you can plan Minecraft cities, but until that time it is working on A-levels, and that is going to be a lot of work, and that's what A-levels are. But you are doing 3, I think, 3 plus EPQ. Setting up your life is long, yeah. But actually just working on your A-levels. But having a plan helps. It does help. I mean, just use your calendar app. That's what I do. I just use the calendar on my phone. I don't like draw a nice little table and scribble everything in. But actually working towards other stuff outside can really help, especially when you're changing subjects, because you don't want to get things mixed up. So actually having a break between one subject and another, even if you haven't done your allotted time. So say you're going to study for 40 minutes, then 40 minutes, and you only do 20 minutes and then change subject, take a break then. Don't just go from one thing to another. But, focus on yourself, because it will go in harder. The more you try and force and cram stuff in, the harder it gets. So, not taking it like easy or taking it laid back, but actually just looking after yourself through it and putting yourself first, because ultimately you've got to live after your A-levels and you don't want to hurt yourself trying to get through them. So while you may have to work that hard, and obviously you do because you need the A-levels, but just be careful with yourself, look after yourself, have some fun, and really, really discharge. Don't do a little bit, so sitting in front of TV watching Euros and then with your revision out in front of you. Actually have a proper everything's away, A-levels are done, this is complete time for me, time for some fun thing I want to do. But actually have that complete so I said did I say Eurovision? Did I actually? I meant the Euros. You got to actually say Eurovision. It's because I was watching that ages ago. But yeah, actually have those two segregations and say this is work time, this is rest time, and actually really, really breaking that up. And that's just kind of working from home tip, to be honest, because obviously when you don't have to commute, which kind of acts as that natural barrier, when you're, say, get on the train every day, that kind of acts as a natural kind of, right, this is work time in the office, this is kind of work and personal time as I finish up some things on my phone, and, also can text people and watch YouTube as well, and then when I come home, that's home time, and I think that's kind of important. Do you I do. To be honest, I do. I like seeing people on the train. I do like smiling at people. Not that you can do that with a mask on. And I do like just being part of it. I just feel like it's a nice way of easing myself into the morning. Because currently my morning routine is get up, have breakfast, and then open my laptop and work. And it's like straight into it. It's a very hard good morning. It's a very hard morning, and I like a kind of, get up, get the train, get in, say hi to everyone, and kind of ease myself into the day. I like to do that, more than just kind of really get up, work starts as soon as I open my laptop, and actually having that kind of separation. So commuting for me is a helpful kind of transition between work and home, rather than just walking from one side of my room to the other, if that makes sense too. So there you go. That's kind of thoughts on commuting. I don't mind KSI. I do actually like KSI, to be honest with you. It's decent. It's not really something that you just buy though. You normally research and decide what's best for you, and you don't kind of just make a purchase like that. Just buy it. Well, I wouldn't anyway, mainly because I couldn't afford one. But you wouldn't just do that. Anyway, that is kind of it is nice to be shopping again. No, it's nice to be out there and having things reopened, and that's not just because I run a marketing agency. That is because it is nice to see actual businesses reopened and them actually getting people in the door. And obviously, as more people are vaccinated, more people hopefully have confidence to go out. And every shop I've been in, you've got stickers everywhere on the floor, and you've got literally people that are watching you to make sure everyone's got their mask on and that. And it is very safe, and I do feel confident, because there was a time obviously during the first wave, because obviously we've been shielding, that confidence was quite low in terms of going out, and it was really only reserved for necessities, like we ordered food, etc. But now, I can pop in the shops and cheekily buy something for myself. I can do that, and it feels good to be able to do that again, and it's definitely something that's just I missed, really, because because normally everything's planned, been planned so much because of shielding. So actually being able to do things spontaneous, like just go and buy myself a nice kind of donut to eat, for example, is nice. It's nice to do. So it's good to be back. And yeah, that is kind of what I've been doing anyway. I'm just looking down my bullet points. I was going to say some things on self-care, and I was mainly going to talk about that because self-care is something that I feel is something that I need to cover more. So this was kind of going forward, because we are kind of coming out of lockdown and COVID, hopefully. A lot of these kind of Mental Mondays are not going to be COVID related, or as heavily COVID related as they are, because there are other mental health things to talk about, and it is important that we don't just talk about COVID, because this isn't the news. While we are live, and obviously it does make sense because of that to actually use up-to-date kind of things like number of cases today and the kind of, that kind of stuff, because obviously we are live, so we are responding to that. But actually it does make sense as well to talk about other mental health things that are more applicable anytime, like self-care, recovery. The little things matter. And yeah, James, you do need to go gym, so you can lift, and then I can't. Yeah. I will enjoy. You've only got 10 minutes left. You're not missing much. Peace, love, and positivity. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna put that somewhere. Peace, love, and positivity, bro. Nice. Anyway, So self-care is something you can do at any time, and obviously that really helps on recovery. So I do want to talk about that some more, because I feel like there's people on their recovery journeys right now. And obviously that may have been knocked back because of COVID. But also, if you're just starting to see the end of the pandemic and you're like, right, I'm coming out of this now, I'm going to help myself get better. Actually having that kind of self-care and that time to yourself is really important. So I do want to cover that some more, because I think that's going to be relevant. So let me know if that's something that you would like to see more of coming up. Let me just scroll through my tabs to make sure I've got all the messages. And there's that to do as well. So that's kind of where we're going to go with content moving forward. So finally then, before we end, because we are nearly at the end of our time together for this Mental Monday, our next live stream will be in 2 weeks' time, and that will be on the 12th of June. And yes, I have just looked that up. 12th July even, and I have just looked that up. So on the 12th July, we'll be talking more about self-care. But now I just wanted to kind of say that wherever you are on your recovery journey, that's okay. And I kind of started talking about this last Mental Monday. But I think it's really important that your recovery is your journey, and actually understanding that is difficult, and there's no easy way you're gonna get through it. And there's help out there. Obviously, I've mentioned some of the resources like Samaritans that are there if you don't know who to turn to. But recovery is difficult. It is hard, and I talk about depression and anxiety, which are often considered quite mild, and my experience of them has been. But even things like depression and anxiety, which I have gone through, that is very hard, and I've experienced incredibly low moments in that as well. So while recovery is hard, it is possible, and one of the best things you can do is to surround yourself with positive sources. And this kind of leads in to a blog post I wrote. I did a guide on how to mute things on pretty much every social media site out there. To be honest, I did that because I was meant to write that in 2019. And I found out that I didn't write it in 2019. This was in regards to body image. So this was the Mental Health Awareness Week theme of 2019, was body image, and looking at kind of the impact of social media on that, and how that kind of leads into things like eating disorders as well. So it was really good actually to finally write that. I am catching up on the content. I'm clearly pushing 3 years behind, but I am making a difference with the content, hopefully. So there's that to do, and hopefully I can expand more on that, and I do intend to keep writing things every now and again. I am obviously working on a very heavy content project at the moment for my agency, but when that's out the way, hopefully we'll be back to more writing. But positive sources is very important, and there's loads of mental health pages on Instagram that you can follow, and some of them are really good. Some of them are really good, and some of them are recommended. Young Minds were actually talking about it. Young Minds UK were talking about some of these accounts with one of their advocates who did a kind of guest blog for them. And making sure that you're following accounts that are actually helping you. I think that's the most important thing. And sometimes the content that helps someone else is actually triggering for you. So, for example, you might like seeing things that tell you, it's a day at a time, step by take Mental Monday, for example, where it's take everything a day at a time, step by step, and that might help you. But some people, might get triggered by that because they realise how far they've got to go, and that actually makes them feel more daunted. So there's always another side, and I think that's really important to just be mindful of who you are following, who you're around, and just making sure that that's always positivity. And again, I'm glad that blog got written, because it was a long time coming. And obviously, if you are interested in body image report and indeed eating disorders, although that's covered separately on my website because of obviously Eating Disorders Awareness Week, which is a separate event here in the UK. So there we go. That is it. So next time, on the 12th of July, we'll be talking about self-care. And we'll also be talking, hopefully, about reopening the following Monday, if we're actually at that stage. In the meantime, thank you so much for coming to Mental Monday. This has been the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. We have been live on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you for watching me on either platform. You can also reach me on Twitter at JakeSWrites or on Instagram Jake_Symons if you want to discuss anything after the show. In the meantime, I hope you have a good 2 weeks, and as always, you can reach me at any time during the 2 weeks if you feel you need to. Other than that, thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your evening.